This is the Business of Apps podcast, bringing you actionable insights from the leaders of the global app industry and the world's fastest growing apps. You can find more app news, data and analysis over at businessofapps.com.
Welcome to the Business of Apps podcast. On this show, we invite app industry professionals to cover various topics, and we promise to do our best to keep it both insightful but brief. In this episode, we have Vahe Baghdasaryan, Senior Growth Marketing Manager in CoinStats. Vahe, welcome to the Business of Apps podcast.
Hey Art, thank you for the invitation. Excited to be here today.
Thank you for coming, Vahe. It's great to have you on. Okay, app user acquisition is so important across mobile platforms, countries, and languages. We all understand the challenge and significance of connecting your app with users. We also are pretty familiar, way more than we would like to, with the notion of mobile app churn, the infamous situation when people, users of your app you spend so much energy to find, abandon the app. In this episode, we will be talking about how to prevent app subscriber churn in particular. When people leave your paid app, it's a problem, but not as big as when they pay you a subscription fee and they stop using your app. But first, before taking on this question, Vahe, let's kick off with talking about you. First, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I started my career right in a business school, and then I started to work with different apps, particularly like consumer apps. When I was in business school, I started to read like Andrew Chan's blog. At that point, he was the head of growth at Uber, and it really excited and motivated me, and it was one of the triggers to start my career in growth. And then I started to work with different apps here and there, and then I started to work at Solar as a product marketing manager. It's one of the biggest call-learning platforms in the world, and then years later, I joined the CoinStats, where I'm working right now as a senior growth marketing manager, where I'm leading the subscriptions and lifecycle marketing. I also have a course on subscription optimization and monetization on Maven. We did 2 successful cohorts this year. Maybe we're gonna do next year. My own background is in mobile app growth, particularly for consumer apps, and everything in lifecycle marketing, subscription optimization, and everything that falls between.
Gotcha, Vahe. Okay, speaking of CoinStats, give me a quick portrait of the company. What do you guys do?
Yeah, CoinStat is the largest crypto portfolio tracker in the world at this moment. We are helping crypto investors to track their portfolios and assets. It's basically they connect all their portfolios and investments to one platform and then manage from one view. It's like a consolidated view of your assets. And yeah, I mean, we are saving a ton of time for them and making investing more efficient for crypto investors.
Got you. One day I will start investing coins, but I'm still hesitating. I'm an old school guy.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, I guess it seems the bull market is back, so Bitcoin price is rising. So you should consider.
I will consider. Okay, let's talk about the first case, the app subscriber user churn, which happens when people do it unintentionally. So it was not their conscious choice to stop using the app, but for whatever reason it happened. So let's describe this set of circumstances and what are mitigation strategies to deal with these cases.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, as most of the people know, there are like 2 types of subscribers churn and overall like the user churn, the voluntary and involuntary, right? Involuntary churn happens when somebody, let's say, is a paid subscriber for your product, but due to some technical errors, you're not able to charge them, and they have stopped, and the payment didn't go through, and their account being downgraded to the free, and they are not able to use your product. So, and there are many reasons why this can happen, right? Most of the cases, it is like technical issues when like the credit card expires. If they're using a credit card to they use a credit card to subscribe for your product. If they change their address, like zip codes, etc., especially in the US, it also can result in declined payments. And there also can be like technical issues from your side, not only not only with the payment processors, but also with your backend infrastructure or something. Another issue can happen if the users has no available funds on their credit or debit card at this moment. And if you immediately like cancel their subscription at the moment when try to recharge them, you're gonna lose them. So it is important. Talking now, if we talk about the mitigation strategies, is one of these very important mitigation strategies is to use grace periods. And it is when users, if you are, let's say, if there is not available funds on user's credit card and you fail to charge them, instead of canceling their subscription or downgrading them from like premium to like free subscription, you're gonna give them a free period of using your app. It's gonna be a week or 2 weeks or something. And during this period, you're gonna try to retry charging their credit card, because at some point maybe you couldn't charge them, but there is in a few days there's gonna be any available funds at their credit card, so the recharge would be successful. So if you're just gonna downgrade their accounts at the moment when at the first try to and at the moment if you try to just I'm so sorry about this. So the thing is, if you just try to charge your credit card just for once, maybe at that moment there are not available funds. But if you do it in 2 days, in 3 days, there might be available funds. So giving your customers a grace period is always a good idea. Another very, very important thing here is incorporating lifecycle marketing in terms of transactional communication with the users that you fail to charge. For example, if you fail to charge, send them an email notification that says, your payment didn't go through, please update your billing details. Because, users might not notice that the subscription went not through, and you need to remind them about the failing to charge their accounts, and remind them that if you are not able to charge them in the coming week or something, you gotta downgrade their accounts to the free. And a very also important thing here is in the email that you are sending your users, you need to have a button that's got a deep link that is deep link to the account, the billing information update page in your website, or if you have a website where users can go and update their billing credential. Of course, this is not about the App Store, where you cannot do that because it's on the App Store side. But if you have a web product or web page, when you allow your customers to purchase your apps and use it on mobile, you can deep link them or redirect them to this web page, and it's for minimizing the friction. So it's just gonna be like a button that's gonna take them to website, and then they need to wonder where is this billing information update page or anything. Another very effective strategy that we use, and it worked for us, is every time when a user enters your web product or app or wherever, you need to show them a pop-up that says your payment didn't go through, and ask them to update their credentials. There is a special case for web products, is when you can allow them to update their credentials right within the pop-up. Imagine the users went to this website, and there is the pop-up immediately opens that say, your payment didn't go through, and please update your billing details. And instead of redirecting them page where they need to update it. It's just all the fields are within the pop-up, and they just need to enter their credit card information and update it immediately. So the biggest takeaway from here is like, if you're gonna ask them to update their billing information, there's something that has a lot of friction in it, and your strategy should be also, how am I gonna like minimize the friction? Because it's a big ask. You need to update, you need to get new credit, take out the new credit card, and manually type the numbers, etc., to update. It's a big ask, and it's important. It is very important to think, okay, how I'm gonna make this more frictionless. And like two examples of it is just, if you're sending an email, redirect them to this billing information page. If you're using the pop-ups, allow them to update the billing information immediately from the pop-up. So basically, these are a few of this like effective and impactful strategies that everybody can try, and I have a belief that it can work for everybody, and it can have a positive impact on minimizing your involuntary churn.
Right, just a very, very quick example, kind of a personal one. I'm a Apple Services subscriber, and obviously actual charging happens like 29th on each month, but the notification about any insignificant funds on my account comes like mid-month, like the second week. And it always felt like, why they're sending me this notification so early? But it does make sense for people who have to update their credit card. They have to do some, something with on the bank side. It will require some time for them to be able to provide new funding for their account. So it's always good to be on a safe side. You have to give people more time before we actually charge them at the end of the month. So this way you are in a better position to avoid all these cases when all of a sudden a certain portion of your clients just drop off immediately because you couldn't just charge their credit cards. Now, in your experience, what the strategies we just described can give you in terms of mitigation, what you should expect, just in general terms?
I mean, if we're talking about involuntary cases,
Yeah.
so the strategies for mitigating involuntary churn, it really depends on a product and the customer, etc. But I believe you should be able, if you execute the strategies, you should be able to decrease your involuntary churn by up to like 30%, 20 to 30%. And in a large scale, it's gonna be a huge amount of revenue for you. If you're making, I don't know, like if your app is making like 100,000 ARR, maybe it's not that big of money, but it's something. But if you are in millions, 20% it's a big thing from that you are recovering from like involuntary churn revenue.
Of course, it's about scale. Like all those thousands and thousands of dropped off subscribers will add up pretty quickly. It will be really significant. Now, switching the gears to the cases when it was the people's intention to stop using the app. Obviously, we are aware of these ones, so let's let them on the table. Under what circumstances it may happen, and what would you suggest to mitigate these problems in your experience?
Yeah, this is we are talking about this voluntary subscriber churn, which is actually the hardest to like tackle in terms of strategies. Because if the subscriber of your users intentionally went to your website or went to an app store and canceled their subscription, so like 100% there's something off, and maybe they are disappointed with your service. There is a lot of technical issues with your product, Or the other case is they are satisfied with their current use case and they don't need the product anymore. It's not that your product is bad, but they don't need it anymore. So, and how it happens, like imagine you have problems with sleep and you are installing like Calm or any other apps that has sleep stories or sleeping music that relaxes your mind and makes the falling sleep process easier. So you pay for the subscription, you use the app for a year, and then you don't have problem with sleeping, and you cancel your subscription because you don't have that issue anymore. Right? What apps can do here is like try to onboard these users to another use cases. For example, if they notice that this user is okay with sleeping and don't need this anymore, and we gotta talk how they can notice these patterns. Let's onboard them to another use cases. In terms of Calm, they not only have these sleep stories, but they have like influencer content, they have meditation, they have many other things, and it's like they can communicate this with their subscribers and like sleeping well is very important, but we have also some additional things that you can benefit of, like meditations and these influencer stories, etc. So it is, so they can kind of need to try them to also onboard in other use cases. So how like one of the ways to do this, like to understand if this user is going to churn and then start nudging them towards other use cases, is like, for example, if you are using like product analytics tool like Mixpanel or Amplitude, you need to create like healthy cohort of your subscribers. There are, and maybe I don't know, like sleep stories use case, and there is a pattern in these healthy subscribers, which is, for example, in average, they are listening like 3 sleep stories per week. So when you see that this pattern is changing within your cohort, you can link this cohort with your CRM tools. If you're using any, like, I don't know, Eatable, Braze, or any other tools, you can link these cohorts with your CRM tools and start to send with them communication. When they, when the engagement is decreasing within your healthy subscriber cohort, to try to get them back and also nudge them towards other use cases. And beside the CRM, when the users are opening your app and using it, you also need to tailor the in-product user experience in a way that's gonna nudge them towards other use cases. For example, in the sleep stories use case, the sleep story is finished and they can open a pop-up that says, we have a celebrity content by LeBron James. It is only like 3 minutes long or something. Would you want to listen, or do you want to listen to preview and then try it later? And like many other things here to like try to get the engagement rates back and try to prevent it. Another thing happens, what to do. Another thing is like what to do if the subscriber is already churned. There are like two things that I think can work well. The first thing is like if you are looking at the cohort of your subscribers who have churned, like basically cancel the subscriptions, and you see that they are still using your product and have they are not paid users, they are still using their product, you can hit them with discounts, like deep discounts, and say, come back, rejoin to premium with a like huge discount, and try to convince them back. Another way that I like is keep these users in your CRM or anything, and every time that you are doing a big product updates or announcing new features, email also these users and show them that the product is growing, you're adding new features, and there's something big happening meanwhile you're not subscribed. And I don't know, giving them, and maybe one of your updates or features that you are doing gonna convince them to come back. And one of the things that you can do, that the product announcement email that you are sending these users, to add a bit more incentive, you can have a bit of like a small discount attached as a snippet to these emails to increase the motivation and nudge them to come back and resubscribe for your product offering.
And now that's really smart. This strategy of switching your customers who otherwise would just churn away from one product you provide them to the other. And it brings me back to my favorite point that you really need to have a good vision of how your product will be used. Think in advance. Think about the moment when you, based on what your product, your app provides, accomplish certain goal. What happens next? What happens with these people once they accomplish the goal of start using the app, like your example with the sleep aiding apps or fitness apps. There are many apps that are based on app subscription model, and in the user journey, there's always this point where they achieve something, and by definition, by the function of the app, chances are they will just stop using the app because it will be quite logical, quite expected. So what happens next at that point? Are they just going away and good to go, or you can still retain them and provide something else, as opposed to hunting them later down again with the next uh, um, user acquisition campaign, spending more money, spending more of your nerves, blood and sweat, to just making sure they are coming back, as opposed to just thinking about it strategically and have um, this sort of campaign in advance. Once they reach the point when they're not using your app anymore because they've achieved some goal, you're seamlessly transition them to the next step you may provide to them. Now, you mentioned a couple analytical tools, Vahe. Which ones do you prefer? Any favorite tools? Like we'll have our own tools. Some, for whatever reason, some tool may work or may not work for me. Excuse me. What are your favorite analytical tools?
Yeah, for product analytics, Amplitude and Mixpanel both work perfectly. For revenue analytics, like Revenue Cat is one of the best ones. It is, yeah, it is. It's more about how you can connect all your Martech stack to one to another and make sure you can, execute the strategies than what tool you use. But I personally find an Amplitude, Mixpanel definitely are like leaders in the market. One of the best ones. And if you're looking at the revenue analytics, the Revenue Cat is one of the best ones too.
Got you. Vahe, let's kind of switch the tables a little bit. Can you recall a case when you were actually about to churn away from the app yourself, but the app's teams managed to persuade you to stay? Can you recall any case like this?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. Let me think. I just grabbed my phone to see what apps I have. Just yeah, it's, it's probably gonna be it is probably gonna be the Flighty app. So it is for tracking your flights and all this stuff. Uh, I, I I'm a paid user, and before I was like buying the premium when I needed to fly. So and then canceling my subscription because I didn't need it anymore. And then they kind of changed their pricing model. They changed the prices and also offered lifetime premium, etc. So after these changes in the pricing side, I didn't um,
Mm-hmm.
cancel anymore because the new pricing and things matched my expectations. So, and not only the expectations but also the use cases. So I then resubscribed to them. So this is the only one that comes to my mind at this moment. Yeah.
Got you. This question was kind of a hint for people to remember that we all both app users, and because we're in the app industry, we're people who provide services. So remember about all those cases where you're on the other side, and what is your attitude? Well, how do you feel about the situation when you have to churn away from the app, and somebody have a clever way to make you stay, not forcing you, but provide you the value? Try to kind of capture those moments and learn from them and see how it works. We've finished the first part of the show, and for every guest who comes on the show for the first time, I have just a few quick questions so people who listen to us can know my guest better. Here we go. What smartphone do you have now? Are you been the switcher between the two giant platforms, or are you staying one side all the time?
Yeah, I currently I'm using iPhone 13. Yeah, I guess I got upgrade. I was an Android user for a while, and then I switched to iOS a few years ago, and then I started to use iOS. Then started since. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Before both Android and iPhone existed, there was the era of now we call them flip phones or featured phones. So one of those phones which you could put in your pocket, but it was not a smartphone. What was your first phone like this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I had a few phones before all of this. I had the Nokia, I had the BlackBerry and the Motorola. I don't remember which one was the first, probably BlackBerry. But yeah, it was one of these two. I one of these two, but it was BlackBerry.
Oh, gotcha. BlackBerry. Now BlackBerry, it's just the berry and the grocery store, not a smartphone anymore. Back to their original meaning. Uh, okay, back to present. Imagine you've left your iPhone at home for whatever reason and you're out. Well, what would be the most missing feature for you? What would you be feeling like, where the hell my iPhone? I need to do this or that. What would be that thing?
Yeah, it's gotta be the notifications and all this messaging that happens because I feel like when my phone is not with me, I'm like there is a big fear of missing out, like what's happening with messaging, what's happening in Slack, what's happening, or I don't know, like iMessage or whatever. So I just, it's really the a fear of missing out hits me. But I realize it's kind of addiction or something, and or something. I started to like leave my phone at my home and go for a walk for an hour and a half, and try to be disconnected from everything and try to actually also this is my mitigation strategy for fighting
Gotcha.
against my this smartphone addiction and this like fear of missing out. But that is the main thing that hits me when I leave my phone like somewhere.
I hear you. I hear you. Let's see if there's anything about your smartphone which you believe personally, not looking at the average, techno hype or pundit rating about what would be great to have for a phone, but your personal stance, like something that is missing, not necessarily more, probably less, some feature like hardware, software, or the combination of these two that will make your phone a better tool for you.
That's a good question actually. I don't know. I mean, like smartphones are, I guess it's a big part of our lives, and if somehow they could become more like second brain or something, that could be another level, because I mean there are a lot of information about us there. There's a big part of our life happening there, and if somehow it also can become your like second brain and increase your, I mean, it does some degree to your productivity, etc. But it takes it another level. And it could be really great.
Yeah, absolutely. The moment when Siri will meet ChatGPT for real,
Yeah.
we're all waiting for this moment. What's going to happen next summer? What Apple have in their sleeve in terms of bringing Siri up to the speed, so to speak, with what's happening with generative AI these days. All right. Before I let you go, very final question, Vahe, how can people get in touch with you and get more information about what you do?
Sure. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. So if anybody wants to connect or just have some questions, I'd be very happy to answer. So just hit me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm also doing a free mentorship at this platform called Growth Mentor. So if you're a growth professional or an app founder and need some help, just you can just go there and schedule a meeting with me, and we can have a chat. Otherwise, Twitter and LinkedIn both works perfectly.
All right, this is great. We're going to put the links to your LinkedIn and that platform you've mentioned to the description of this episode so people can get in touch with you. Vahe, thank you so much for spending time with us and being on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye. And that was Vahe Baghdasaryan, Senior Growth Marketing Manager at CoinStats. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps and you will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Business of Apps podcast. For more, head on over to businessofapps.com.